Coming up on Mountain News this morning, there will be talks in Frankfort this morning about gun safety in the Commonwealth. And yesterday, Governor Andy Beshear gave an update on disaster relief for Western and Eastern Kentucky.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We are coming up on 6:31 a.m. on December 15th, 2023. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Shane Smith for a look at your forecast this morning. Shane, what should people expect going into this happy weekend?
Well, the weekend forecast starts off dry and then turns a little soggy. We'll worry about the soggy part later. Let's talk about what's going on out there right now, Madison. We've got dry conditions, satellite radar, like it has been for most of the week, dry and clear, and temperatures generally into the 20s area-wide, 32 right now in Pikeville, 27 Corbin. A few of the ridge tops a little bit warmer. Jackson, you're at 37, but then you head down to Middlesboro, 24, 23 in Manchester, 21 Jonesville, Burr. 27 in London and Williamsburg. Good morning, Somerset. You're checking in at 25 degrees. Factoring in the wind, it feels just a skosh cooler in a few spots. And as we get you out the door on this Friday morning, 56 the high under mostly sunny skies. Really nice conditions heading our way. One more dry day today and tomorrow. Sunday, soggy, very soggy as a potent storm system rolls in. And as that storm intensifies and pulls down cold air, could lead to some snowflakes on Monday. We'll take a close look at those chances coming up here in about 10 minutes. Madison.
Shane, thank you. An interim joint committee will meet in Frankfort this morning to discuss a bipartisan proposal on gun safety. The Whitney Strong organization says the hearing will be the first of its kind since November of 2019. Among those expected to attend is the widow of Tommy Elliott, who was killed in the Old National Bank shooting in Louisville. Jeremy Toms has a look ahead to the busy day in the Capitol.
8 months have passed since a gunman opened fire in a Louisville bank, killing 5 people, injuring 8 others, and causing many more to call for action.
Their lives have not been easy. It's been a long year for people, but we just have to keep fighting.
That might come Friday, with the Interim Joint Committee on Judiciary hearing a bipartisan proposal for the Crisis Aversion and Rights Retention Act, or CAR.
It allows loved ones to go to law enforcement to intervene in mental health crisis.
Whitney Strong notes that nearly 80% of individuals considering suicide give some sign of their intentions. They say CAR would give a judge the ability to temporarily take a firearm away from a person in crisis, giving it to law enforcement or to a trusted person outside the household. A hearing would then be held to identify important support services for that individual, and the firearm would be returned once the gun owner is no longer in crisis. Tommy Elliott was one of those 5 victims back in April, and his friends told us last month he'd be pushing for these types of reform.
If he were alive, he would be fighting and caring for those who survived.
So on Friday, his wife Marianne is expected to be among those doing so in his honor. Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
The discussion on guns is part of several items coming up before the Legislative Judicial Committee meets this morning. The agenda includes a discussion of Kentucky's violent offenders statute. U.S. Senator Rand Paul is on the agenda for that part of the meeting. Kentucky's incoming Attorney General supports group violence intervention. It's a crime prevention strategy that focuses on community connections and specific groups at risk of violence. Attorney General-elect Russell Coleman brought up this strategy in talks with Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg.
Prior to this administration, it was a internal bureaucratic intransigence. It was a refusal of the prior administration to have their administration row in a way to make GVI work.
Critics say this could lead to over-policing in minority communities. Coleman is replacing current Attorney General Daniel Cameron. The Kentucky State Supreme Court dismissed a redistricting lawsuit yesterday. The case involved congressional and state House maps Republicans drew up last year. Democrats accused them of gerrymandering districts. A judge initially ruled the maps were gerrymandered but were not unconstitutional. The state's high court today agreed, ruling the maps did not violate the Kentucky Constitution. Yesterday, during Governor Andy Beshear's Team Kentucky briefing, he gave an update on disaster relief efforts in eastern and western Kentucky. In western Kentucky, relief money is funding 300 new homes after devastating tornadoes 2 years ago. 155 of those homes are complete, under construction, or approved for construction across 9 counties. In eastern Kentucky, relief money is paying for 7 high-ground communities.
They'll house at least 500 families, though when you look at capacity, I believe many, many more. Those are going to be funded in part with the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, which has provided over $3.6 million.
And Governor Beshear says so far 14 homes have been built or replaced in Breathitt, Martin, Owsley, Knott, Perry, and Letcher counties, and there are many more to come. Kentucky community action agencies are offering a program to help people keep the heat on this winter. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, can provide the financial aid for folks struggling to pay their heating bills. LKLP Executive Director Ricky Baker says agencies can tell folks if they have a qualifying income.
The income was 110% of the federal poverty level, and now it's up to 130%, so the income level is quite higher. So if you think that you may have not qualified in the past, I urge you to at least call your county office, and they can tell you instantly by the number of household members.
Enrollment for the crisis period begins on January 9th. Baker says you can call and schedule an appointment ahead of time. He also says you can apply through March 31st or until funding runs out. One person is dead after a car crash in Perry County. It happened Wednesday night off of Lost Creek Road. Once deputies and first responders arrived at the scene, they discovered 46-year-old Samantha Gayhart of Lost Creek had been thrown from the vehicle after it had overturned. The Perry County Coroner's Office pronounced Gayhart dead at the scene. Her visitation and funeral will be held Saturday at Blair Memorial Baptist Church. A Laurel County man is behind bars after he reportedly was driving a vehicle under the influence. It happened Wednesday night on West Cumberland Gap Parkway at North Stewart Road, about 9 miles from London. Deputies were dispatched to a situation where a man struck a business vehicle with his own. 48-year-old Terrence Lee Day was charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of a controlled substance. He was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. Also in Laurel County, a man was brought into custody after he failed to appear in court. 34-year-old Jonathan Matthews was arrested Thursday off Johnson Road, about 6 miles from London. The arrest stems from where Matthews was charged on a Laurel Circuit Court bench warrant. In the warrant, Matthews faces 2 counts of assault as well as a terroristic threatening and strangulation. Matthews was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. Also in Laurel County, one person is behind bars after police say she stole an electronic tablet. The incident happened at a home off of Abul Road, about 4 miles from London. After a victim told deputies with the sheriff's office about the incident, they went to a camper across from the home where the burglary occurred. When they showed up, they were able to find the tablet by confirming the serial number. Kayla Cornett was charged with receiving stolen property. An NFL Hall of Famer is putting a big investment into downtown Huntington. Randy Moss is preparing to open his new restaurant, Crispy's, downtown. He recently had a little VIP gathering to welcome friends and family and let them sample some of the menu items. The grand opening of the restaurant is set for today. Moss says it is a chance to give a little back to his home state, and it always feels good to come back to where it all started.
No, I just think that, you know, one thing about me, I've never forgot where I came from, and, you know, you always hear the saying, you can't get nowhere, you know, by yourself. So like I said, man, it's just a little intimate night here, just to have a couple people just show up, taste the food, taste the product. And like I said, I just want to bring something back home.
Moss helped lead Marshall to a national title in 1996. He would go on to play in the NFL for 14 seasons. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2018.
Current time 6:41 now. A look at your forecast. We are nice and dry across southern and eastern Kentucky on this Friday morning. Here's a look at the sky cam outside the WYMT studios, and you can see sun's starting to see those first rays of light over the horizon. Not quite over at I-75 yet. Still pretty dark over this way as we are seeing clear skies and clear over at Mountain Comp Healthcare in Whitesburg. 38 degrees there right now. Elsewhere across the area, you can see the satellite and radar is nice and dry. Those temperatures into the 20s and 30s, and we're topping out into the 50s by this afternoon. So some really nice weather heading our way today. A similar story tomorrow, although clouds begin to thicken up. And then the forecast takes a turn to the soggy side and potentially the wintry side as we go into next week. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes, Madison.
Shane, thank you, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:42. Still to come on Mountain News this morning, we'll take a look at the record-breaking Shohei Ohtani deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers.